In this video, we are going to look at solving quadratics in factored form. Now, before we start solving, we have to go back to a little game that we played in class where we multiplied two numbers together and the product has to equal 0. And we mentioned that the only time this can happen is if one of them, if not both of them, must be 0. Okay, this is called the zero product property. So, with that in mind, looking at a problem that's already in factored form, we can say, alright, the only way that this product can be equal to 0 is if either this factor equals 0 or this factor equals 0. So by solving each one of those scenarios, you say x subtract 3 equals 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. And in this case, x would equal 3, and the next one, x would equal negative 5. So if we have either one of those inputs, we could check by substituting it back into the equation and you would get a product that's equal to 0, and those are your solutions. Now, in the scenario, we do not have a quadratic in factored form, rather it's in standard form. Now we want to look at, can we write this in factored form? If we can write it in factored form, then we can apply the zero product property. Not all quadratics can be factored. It's useful to try to factor it first, because then the solution can be obtained rather easily. So now, when we factored this previously, we looked at the area of this rectangle where we would have x and x in these positions, and then the bottom right corner is negative 14. So we're looking at two values that multiply together to give me negative 14, knowing that the diagonal terms here would have x's attached to them, and they would add to the negative 5 that we have in the middle of our standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and say negative 7 and a positive 2. I know that would give me negative 14. And then in the top right box I would have negative 7x, and the bottom left I would have 2x. All together, that would give me a negative 5x. So I can see that that's going to be my factor. So I would have x plus 2 and x subtract 7. So now I have my zero product property. And I would get x equals negative 2, and I would get x equals positive 7. The next thing you want to be aware of going forward is whenever your quadratic is not set equal to 0. Keep in mind, this is called the zero product property. So the only time that you can actually apply this property is when your product is equal to 0. When it's in standard form, there is no product. These terms are added together or subtracted together. So it has to be in factored form, that way you're multiplying two things together to equal 0. And that's your zero product property.